I believe that the reason God created man was for management.
Really? I have never heard it put that way.
The first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself.
God will never allow growth where there is no management.
Wow, wow, wow.
So instead of praying for things from God, pray for the management ability.
Everything I tell you is true. Everything I open my mouth and I say is correct because heaven directs me on what to say. Heaven will tell me and I will tell you it will come to pass in front of your eyes. Not behind you, you will see it happening.
God will withhold things from you if you cannot manage them.
When you look at the facts that something around 1 million people perished as a result of the actions of the British and Russian and Nigerian federal governments.
Vis-a-vis what we see in Nigeria, which is truly not, it should not be surprising. Look, what's happening in Nigeria is barbarous. It's horrible. I mean, it's complete madness, yet it's not a priority. The United States unilaterally could do almost anything it needs to do. It would be a long-term effort, but it could be done. And the United States has the capability. All the elements of power, we have those.
So why not?
It's not a priority. That's the problem. We are committed elsewhere in the world. Black West Africa is not a priority.
Anybody who changes his principles depending on whom he is dealing, that is not a man who can lead a nation.
They can't tell me. No way. When the time comes, it's okay. What stupid country is this? So when you see you try somebody's secret, when you like, you try a secret. When you like, it's in public. What stupid country is that? What stupid country is that, I ask you? When you like, you try in secret. When you like, you try in private. They are killing my people. 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 After killing my people, you tell me to tell in secret. The person is mad. Completely mad. Tell Buhari, that's what I said. That he is mad. He cannot tell me. He cannot tell me. He's a madman. There's a contempt of court proceedings here. Contempt of court. They don't obey court order. They don't obey court order. You're telling me secret prayer. Is the person mad?
I, Nnamdi Kanu, will sacrifice anything sacrificable to make sure that Biafra comes.
We hereby declare no election, no 2023 general election in Biafra land. This no election in Biafra land has been activated. We are going to make it a task that must be done by every Biafran. All measures will be put in place to make sure the adequate civil disobedience is implemented to stop the election in Biafra land.
the meaning of discovery? It means to bring to light something that is buried on the ground. If you can accept that, then you know that Biafra is coming. There is nothing man can do about it. It's too late. Way, way too late. The countdown has begun.
I'm not seeing myself. It's stuck somehow, and so I have to refresh this. So let me refresh this. I don't know. I think I need to refresh this. I don't know if you can hear me, please. I want to get from someone if you can hear me, if you can see me, and if you can hear me, please just let me know so that I can continue. I want to appreciate you. I think I can see myself now on the screen. Thank you all for joining me. I think I have a network problem today. I decided not to put on my face cap. I decided to speak to us. All right. Thank you so much. I want to appreciate you, Papa Ejima, for that. And thank you so much all for joining. I want to say thank you for joining wherever you're watching from. Today is the first day of a new week. And today is the 23rd day of April 2023. Today is Sunday. And of course, this week we are hoping that things better will work for us. And we're hoping also that Mazin Namdekano will be out of the DSS dungeon. I want to appreciate you all for joining wherever you're joining. Please share this on all your social media platforms. Let the people join in this. Let your people, from all platforms that you belong, just share this broadcast. Today we're going to be looking critically on our involvement, the level of our involvement in this whole concept of our freedom. And of course, we have to understand that the concept of freedom is a collective responsibility. And as we always say it, that without you doing something about this freedom, nothing gets done. Except you do something, nothing gets done. Thank you so much, Biafra TV. I can hear you. All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, you see, sometimes we misrepresent and misunderstand the concept of what we are doing, especially when it has to do with sensitive things like talking about our freedom, talking about Biafra. Today, over the night, I was listening to. I used to have it anyways. I have it a long time, but I don't know. My mind was drawn to, that particular voice track by Mazin Namdekano when he said that if anytime you wake up and you hear that I have been arrested, we have one where he said that when you hear that when you don't see me again, burn down Nigeria. And I have another one where he said, of course, we all have it for those who follow Mazin Namdekano very well. He said, if you don't see me, burn down Nigeria. Anytime you wake up and hear that I have been arrested, I have been arrested. He stated it categorically. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to play the audio to you so you can hear it. Whenever you wake up and you discover that I've been arrested, burn down the zoo, burn down Nigeria. He called it Nigeria there. So that for those who don't understand what it means when he says zoo, you can understand when he says burn down Nigeria. And so thank you so much, Mark Gold. Hear me from South Africa. Thank you so much for joining all the way from South Africa. Mazin Namdekano gave us the order to burn down Nigeria when he is arrested. This he made when he was preparing to go for the next court case that was going to be happening on, I think it's 17th of November or 17th of September 2017, when he was first arrested and he was released on bail. And then he was talking to IPOB members, and he said that anytime you don't see me, burn down Nigeria. I think I'm going to play that. I have it in phone here. Let me play it so that people can hear it. So I think I need to play that because when we talk about our involvement in this whole Biafra thing, some people just take it as a joke, and some people just think it's just something, and they keep doing things to disappoint Mazin Namdekano every day. I don't know why we have chosen to be a curse on ourselves to disappoint Mazin Namdekano every day and to talk against Mazin Namdekano. I'm going to play this audio and I want you to listen to it. Please listen to this audio from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
What mistake Buhari ever made was to arrest me. What is going to happen? I am taking IPA to Abuja on the 17th of this month to Nigeria case. We are with you, sir. We are with you. There will be 2 million people in Abuja. I will be there. I will be there. I will be there with you. I will be there. We take a battle to our enemies. Yes, sir. And let me make this very clear to you. You are under oath. Yes. And by virtue of that oath, you are under direct orders from me. Yes. Any day you wake up, you hear I've been arrested, born Nigeria time.
Now I'm going to play that again for those who didn't hear it very well, for what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said we should do. And it breaks my heart that we see lots of activities, lots of self-aggrandizement, ego and all of that by people who claim to love Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who claim to be his disciples, and who claim to be anything they claim to be, who claim to be lovers of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Yet Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have given this order, and we are taking it for granted. And I'm going to play it one more time. Listen, please. Just listen to it, please.
What mistake Buhari ever made was to arrest me.
They said the worst mistake Buhari ever made was to arrest me. But some of us have decided to make it not a worst mistake. I'll play it again.
What is going to happen? I am taking IPA to Abuja on the 17th of this month to Nigeria case. We are with you, sir. We are with you. There will be 2 million people in Abuja. I will be there. I will be there. I will be there with you. I will be there. We take a battle to our enemies. Yes, and let me make this very clear to you. You are under oath. Yes. And by virtue of that oath, you are under direct orders from me. Yes. Any day you wake up, you hear I've been arrested, born Nigeria time.
You know, hearing this thing over and over makes me angry. Makes me very, very angry. And this is almost 2 years. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been kept in confinement. Not just any confinement, but a dingy place. A place of critical torture. Isolated. Kept in such situation. And he said to us in 2007, any day you wake up and hear, I have been arrested, burn down the zoo, burn down Nigeria. And yet, every one of us are comfortable. People are sharing positions. People are busy popping champagne. People are busy arguing over so many things and looking for how they're going to give themselves titles, stealing resources, coming to dance on social media, pressing breast, and all of this nonsense. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said we should burn down the zoo. Now, I want to take you through an odyssey of the level of your involvement in this whole thing. I might not be taking too long today because of the Twitter Space program we're going to be having in the next, I think in the next 1 hour or so Also, yes, in the next 1 hour, we're going to be on Twitter Space for this same thing. We're going to be analyzing the one thing Mazin Amdekano has told us to do, that both the DOS and the autopilot, groups, let me call them groups now, because we have Mazin Amdekano's plan has been splitted by two greedy set of people. Two greedy set of people have splitted the IPOB into two camps. Of course, we are all autopiloted, because as soon as Mazin Amdekano said we are on autopilot mode, that means we all are supposed to, both the ones who claim to be autopilot and those ones who claim to be DOS, because there's nothing like being DOS, supporting DOS and then supporting autopilot, because everyone automatically is on autopilot. By the virtue of that pronouncement, we are now on autopilot mode. That mood is a program. It's not a group or a name of a group. When Mazin Amdekano said we are now on autopilot, he never said he is now creating another group. He never said that we are now being created, we are now divided and another group is going to come up and that is called autopilot. No, he's saying now that every one of us are automatically programmed now to execute the concept of Biafra freedom. So Mazin Amdekano was giving us, by the virtue of that prayer he was making, and by the virtue of the inspiration he had at that point in time, he was saying that we are now on autopilot mode, because he was talking to Chukwu Okikias at that time, if you remember. And when he was making that statement, he was trying to make the people understand in that prayer that now another level of operation has begun. And that operation, that level of operation, is a program that is already imputed in everybody who is a Biafran. And that input is from the heavenlies, is from God, from the throne of God. And that input is a program which automatically positions everyone to be a stakeholder and at the same time executioner of this project called Biafra Freedom. So Mazin Amdekano was actually talking about the program, not another sect of people, because now what we have is autopilot sect. They have now used that name, autopilot, to create a sect where they steal the resources of the people, where they, dance and celebrate on how they have captured the minds of the people and put them under a particular concept of reasoning, so that the people are restricted and are redundant and are dormant in the concept of ignorance. Now, these things are very critical for us to understand. I want to get people to understand the level of involvement, because today is Sunday. I just got to talk to you in this regard. I would have shown you so many things and begin to do some exposition on the criminality of what the criminality that is going on. I don't want to go from to that level talking about criminality today. I just want to open the minds of the people, because as much as we review the criminality going on, we still have to talk about the facts. And what are the facts? The things that concerns us as a people. The things that concerns us as a people. I have met people from different tribes and all of that, but I begin to wonder the complexity of the mind of an average Biafran. I don't want to talk about an Igbo man, because when you say an Igbo man, it becomes another means of segregation, of dividing us, because then the narrative and the definition Britain has given to us, using the Fulanese, is to give us that narrative of the Igbos and using it as a means of dividing, politically. But when it comes to their executing their crime and their jihad, they define everybody as Igbo. But when it comes to their political divide or their political structure, they created a part called the Igbo tribes, giving them the name Southeast. And then they called the other part, the coastal region, they call them South-South. That is political, bringing that division in our midst. Now, this division, okay, Conan, I've seen your message. You just leave that. These are if frogs. Allow them to jump around and display their if. We need to give them opportunity to become the frogs that they are, so that we can reveal their stupidity. Because when truth is being proclaimed, when you see people opposing it at that moment, it is a clear sign of who they are. So let's allow them operate. I have enough shock absorber for these kinds of people who jump around and constitute nuisance on social media. They are frogs. And as I told you, frogs jump around and make noise. They can't spoil anything. They can't stop me from broadcasting. They can't stop me from saying the truth. They can't stop you from supporting the truth. They can't stop you from sharing the truth and broadcasting and speaking the truth and fighting on the cause of truth. So let's just leave them to, we just leave it just like a madman who is on the street talking to himself, moving around, gesturing and doing lots of things on the street. What you do, you just pass because he's just talking to himself. You already know who he is by that action of talking to themselves and doing what they are doing at that point in time. It has proven that they are mad. So when we talk about truth and somebody is dancing to the tune of anything, just allow them to go on and narrate and do what they have to do because they're e-frogs. Let them jump around and jump until they get into the hot water, and that's the end. So let's continue from this now. Let's continue from this. Let's not be distracted by these guys. I like them being there. Let them be there. Let them continue to flow. Now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, we are on autopilot mode. I want to come from this point because that is where we got it wrong. That is where we really got it wrong. That is the point and the central point where all these errors and these evils began. Because when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu made that pronouncement, people began to misinterpret it to benefit themselves. And of course, and how it happened was that, of course, those people in the office of the DOS started using the narrative with their e-frogs, started using the narrative of autopilot, because there was a time autopilot was mentioned by Simon, and then they now began to use it as a means of mockery. But that was a particular incident that actually qualifies initially what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was talking about, autopilot. Now, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu made that statement, he was making a particular prayer, and he said we're in autopilot mode. If you observe very well in that prayer, he was talking from the depth of his belly, from the depth of his soul. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was talking from the depth of his soul, and he was in that realm, in that aura, he found himself when he was making that prayer. I don't know whether you remember that broadcast. He now made that statement. He said, we are in the autopilot mood. We are in autopilot mode now, meaning that we are now programmed to execute fully the concept of the freedom. And that program detail has been wired in the structure, or let me use the word metabolism of the people. That means in the system, in our vein, in our brain, in the process, in our formation, in our total makeup, and embedded in our DNA, the project of autopilot, which constitutes of the fullness of the execution, or the fullness of executing this freedom, coming from the preachings and the words of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu over and over and over and over again, which Chukwu Okike gave to him to speak to us over and over and over again, so that these things will get into our veins, and then it becomes and gets into our mind, and then become a program for execution. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was talking about the time, the set time for execution, meaning that from what he has been preaching, the words he has been bringing from Chukwu Okike, and all of these details have constituted the fullness of the program that everybody will now have to run with. Now, let me give you an example. When you come to a nation, for instance, a nation is a group of people with common ties, right? That means they have something in common: language, food, dress code, traditions, and all of that. All of this stuff making, defining the concept of a nation. So when you want to talk about nationhood, you're going to talk about a people having common interests, or common things, or some things common that define them, that collectively define them, that can actually prove that they are from a source. Am I correct? So if that is the concept or the definition of a nation, then you have to understand that for that particular understanding, or for that particular narrative of what defines them to be conspicuous, or to be made obvious, or to be published, or to be narrated in the physical, or in our actions, and even in actions, and in daily routines and activities, there is a need for a particular template that will help the people define these things in their actions. Please, I hope I'm not going too deep in this, so that I don't speak, and get myself speaking to myself. I want to make sure that we are all understanding. That's why I'm using common languages to define this. Now, what happened at that point is this: when a nation sits, that means the group of people who have a common tie or have common ties sit. They now look at themselves. They say, for us to maintain this tie, for us to maintain sanity in our midst, for us to maintain discipline in our midst, we must constitute a constitution, or we must give ourselves rules. For instance, in the accountability group, which the people gave us the name, and we adopted it, we have rules that guide us. One of the rules is that everyone is equal. Another rule says that everyone's idea is welcome. Another rule says everyone have equal rights as his brother in that group to execute the concept of Biafra and to make sure they put in to apply or give their input to the system and the structure we have on ground to execute our freedom. So another rule says that everyone in that group is subject to being responsible or subject to the rules of the group to make sure that they respect everybody's interest, everybody's position, and everybody's ideas. And let me tell you, fundamentally, what we now do is that we now make sure that when you bring an idea, we subject it to deliberations, and then resolutions come out from the idea, and then we carry out a vote, and then that vote determines what we're going to do. And then somebody now comes to announce it. I may announce it, somebody else may announce it. Everybody is equal. Now, the reason why you have rules is because you want to try to maintain, you want to try to see that you sustain what binds you. Rules are meant to sustain the ideology of a system, a structure, an organism, or a program, like the program of autopilot Mazen Ambekano talked about. So that rule, or the rules, make up the faculty of the definition of operation. That means the modus operandi, the modus vivendi, all of them are embedded in the rules. So when Mazen Ambekano said we are on autopilot mode, what happened is this: he was trying to explain the details that comes from the words he has been speaking to us all this while, teaching us, opening our eyes, and telling us what God wants. Of course, he has made us understand that God has instituted that Biafra must come, and that Biafra must be his program that must be fulfilled here on earth. He called it the religion of heaven. He called it, he called it so many names, giving it the heavy definitions that would be registered in our hearts so that we might understand what we are doing or what we are embarking on. So when he now said we are on autopilot mode, he was now telling us that I have spoken and I have given you all the details you need to understand what you need to do at every point in time in this program of restoring Biafra. So he was not talking about another sect. He was not talking about a group that will be headed by Simon called Autopilot. No. He was not talking about another structure created out of IPOB. No. This is where we got it wrong, because we started misunderstanding the concept of autopilot to mean that a group of people are called autopilot. And we started defining this thing, and that is the strategy of the Fulanese. When they want to divide us, they come into Biafra land. They call this one South-South. They call this one Southeast. They name you and give you a name to give you a particular title, and then you begin to jostle and fight to defend that title, because all you are looking for, because they know you are a selfish being, you need title. You want to you like being in control. So when they give you a position to exude control, you would rush into it and cash into it. Now, why is Ohaneze today struggling to sustain Nigeria? Because they believe that in the concept of Southeast, they are in control. And so you find all those people maintaining that structure of Southeast when they know we are all Biafrans. But they want that narrative of Southeast to continue, because that narrative gives them the greedy opportunity to maintain a particular position. They know that when the Southeast and the South-South, everybody comes together as Biafra, they might not be as relevant as they want to be. So they need that division so that they would have a ground for position. That is what happened in the present day IPOB. When the narrative of autopilot came into being or came into existence, even if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have told us that autopilot actually means that the time for execution has come. Autopilot simply means that we have been programmed and wired with the information we need from heaven. And that all we need to do now is that we are going to come together now and get ourselves free. Which means that every one of us now are now given the mandate and the strength to go and receive and to get Biafra. The level of your involvement is tantamount to the knowledge you possess about you in the whole program of Biafra. So if you don't understand the level of involvement, then you will not understand. If you don't have an understanding, first by knowledge, because understanding comes first by knowledge. It is when you have a knowledge of something, you now begin to dig into understanding. And then when you get the understanding, you now plunge yourself into the realm of wisdom. Because by understanding, you begin to take actions which speaks volume of wisdom. Because, it's just about knowledge and brooding over knowledge to gain understanding. And then at the point of understanding, you now take action in the good, solid plan to execute this knowledge that you have. And at that point of execution, you discover that wisdom will lead you because you already possess knowledge that is already understood. So, but because we are beclouded, we're enshrouded in the concept of the narrative of self. When the issue of autopilot came, it now became a sect. So people like Azuka saw it as an opportunity to build another set of women called Umada, to discredit other women and create another sect that she will have power over, so that using the narrative of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that women will be controlling the money now. So she knows that it will always be the Umada that will control the money. And of course, by the sentiment of that pronouncement by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, we are going to continue to, we are going to continue to give the women the opportunity to run the affairs and the financial affairs of the women of the IPOB or of Biafra. So what she did was this: for her to be on top of the game or to be in charge of finances, she needed to cause division in the initial Umuada. Yes, we understand that some of them were corrupt, like Oyibo and Nena. They were corrupt. So all they needed to do is to remove them and strengthen the whole process. But what she did was to create a division and move it to the realm or to the point where Simon also has created that particular division, calling it autopilot. And now she did that because she knows that if she does that, she will be able to control these particular women she's bringing together. And then the issue of the funds, they are going to discuss it. And then she's going to override their will by her own position. Now, how many of you have listened to the audio of how Azuka and Erewa and were shouting on Simon? That shouting was all. I think I heard Ikenga today narrating that stuff. That shouting was about money. That was all. Now you see, what make people think of, when they know that even if what you are doing is wrong, but as long as it's going to benefit them, they keep it in that. Okay, Conan says, I want to recommend that any position of responsibility assigned to anyone in academy should be on temporary basis, 2-4 months, and subject to review at intervals to either extend tenure. We're already doing that. That's what we're doing. In fact, every position that is there is for just a period of 3 months. And that position does not mean that you have control over everybody. It's just that you are moderating. And that moderating is like, hey, you are just, just to make sure that things go right. But you don't have control over the decisions. The people make the decisions, and when the people make the decisions, you don't even have the power as a moderator to stop them. So we have that template in place where we have 3 months. Right now there's a woman who is in charge. 3 months, 6 months. That's for the group generally, and then for the committees, we have 3 months for the moderators. So, and even those who are saying who say Pastor Livingstone is he's the head of this, the head of that, the leader of the Sabo is the leader of this stuff. Pastor Livingstone doesn't even have a position in that group. He's just going to listen. Whenever the moderator calls a meeting, he's going to listen as every other person. He's just there. He's not even, he cannot make a decision that everybody will take. If he brings an idea, they tell him, sir, this can go. He keeps his mouth shut, and the public view goes. So see, Biafrans, you must understand that we need this kind of system to run effectively to get Biafra. That is what is called autopilot mood. The mood where everybody is now responsible for the freedom. That is why this is titled The Level of Your Involvement in Biafra. Your involvement. Now, your involvement. Now, see, I want to tell you something about accountability. You see, we have a problem with ourselves in Biafra because we have been destroyed by the Nigerian narrative and the Nigerian sentiment. And of course, I won't really blame most of our people, but I know that most of our people, even if they know the truth, but because they want themselves, they want to favor themselves. I was telling you about a particular woman yesterday that Pastor Livingstone was talking about during the broadcast. He was mentioning a particular woman. I think Ada something. That Yorama or something, you know. Today you hear her talk about Simon. She will not go direct on Simon, anyways. She will say, "I'm going to say the truth. I'm going to see the truth. What is happening is wrong. So the account. Why won't you give account of the resources? And why will Simon allow this? Simon, if you must make sure that Azuka gives account. Blah blah blah." And then the next day she comes. The other day I heard her saying also, you know, in one voice message, she was saying that you see, Simon, why would you go? You know that this house is not ready. This building is not ready. Why would you publish this building? And why would you publish this building? And all of that. Edith Nedu, good afternoon. Good to have you here. Always looking forward to see you. Thank you for joining. Now, why would you show people, Biafrans, the reason? Why would you give your enemies the room to actually criticize us? You know this house is not ready, and you're coming to show Biafrans. She was the one saying it. The next time again we saw her 2 days ago was Pastor Livingstone criticizing Pastor Livingstone. Now, you see, our people are destroyed because Nigeria gave a particular platform. In fact, most of our people are actually not destroyed. Yes, ego, all inclusive. You're right, all inclusive. Check and balance. See, any system lacking check and balance. Do you know why America is standing strong today? Do you know why America, with the 50 states they are standing strong? Unlike the Soviet Union that was broken in 1991. That got divided in 1991. Do you know why? Because every state in the US has autonomy. There's a level Biden can go with the state of California. There's a level he can go with the state of New York. There's a level you can go. When you create a particular, structure that will help define the mind of the people and give the people a voice, you will go far and you will succeed. Soviet Union got broken because they were just I think communism. Yes, it was communism then. They want to control the people, and everybody got angry. We have to go. Some who preferred democracy. Ukraine left, others left. Poland, all of them, they broke out from the Soviet Union in 1991. Today, Russia is still fighting to get everybody together. They want to bring everybody together using force. Putin is using force. He wants to take over the land of Ukraine. Little by little, he will go into others. Where you have anarchy is in a place where you don't allow the freedom or the rights of people to be conspicuous. The reason why, see, Mazin Nnamdi Kanu didn't intend that you have autopilot group because it is anti-progress. Because all you are doing, that is why those who now hijacked and call themselves autopilot are the ones now dividing ESN. Because all they understand is they have to divide to get power. So when they divided IPOB to get power, they now discover that power is sweet. They now control money. They now control everything. They now control the resources. They now control the power. They now control the minds of the people. They delve into ESN. They started creating militias for themselves. They now divided the ESN camp. Today, they have created a group that Butuzo is leading. The same Butuzo who was killing our people, still killing our people. That's even Simon himself condemned. Now that same Butuzo has now become. Now see, whenever you allow a particular concept of lie to thrive, you would you have opened the room for more evil to come in. As soon as Autopilot Group was created, which is contrary to the idea of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu when he talked about autopilot, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu never intended that autopilot should mean that you divide IPOB. No. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu never intended that autopilot means that Simon will come and set a group aside and call it autopilot. No. Even if all of us talk about autopilot, we kept telling you that autopilot represents our action. If you go back to my broadcast all this while, since last year, I kept telling us that autopilot is about program. I gave you analysis of the dashboard. It's not the dashboard now, the panel of a system or of a phone and all of that. Go back to my broadcast last year. Thank you so much, Edith Nedu. Thanks for complimenting me. At least I'm not putting on my cap today. Thank you so much. Now, let me give you something. Let me show you something here. You see, this topic is very wide. I'm just giving you the introductory part of it today because it's so wide, but I'm going to still streamline it as time goes on. Streamline it one after the other. But I'm going to take one part of it today. And that part is, first of all, going to the idea of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, talking about, an autopilot, the autopilot mood and all of that. And what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was trying to imply was what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was implying, not trying to imply. Now I'm going to play this audio again of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, if people who claim to love Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and they claim to be listening to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu all these years. Simon himself have been claiming to love Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In fact, he calls himself the first son and the first disciple. But yet he is pretending he's not hearing this. Today he's giving himself title. His master is in the dungeon. For God's sake, where do you see this? Now let me give you an instance. For instance, we have a family and the father is still alive. In Igbo land, we understand this. When the father is still alive, especially if he's the first son in the family, he's actually the one who is going to divide land and all of these details. Now, the father is still alive. And the father's son is also, his children are alive. And then his wife is there too. And then the father gets sick and is in hospital. And then the son now comes up and says, because my father is alive, I am now going to divide position in this family. I am now the father. And I'm going to now divide the property of the family and share to everybody. The man is alive in hospital. He's not dead. Now the son now says, I'm going to divide. The father is in hospital. Rather than doing anything to treat him, to get him well, you kept talking about those who gave him the poison. You kept narrating about those who have given him poison. And you kept telling them that they have to go and treat him. If they don't treat him, you are giving them 17 days. You are giving them 15 days. You are giving them up to 17th of February, of April. You are giving them so blah, blah, blah. You keep talking about these things. You keep talking about these things, whereas you have opportunity also to make sure you make provisions for your father to be alive, because he's your father. As your father, you make provision to get a lawyer, or you get something to get him to save him from. You are telling them that those people who made him sick, those people who gave him the bad food that he ate and made him got him poison, should take care of him. And when they don't take care of him, you people want to kill him, eh? You people don't want this man to live. You people don't blah blah. This person is your father. This also goes in line with what you are narrating now. I'm giving you. Simon claims Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is his father. He's all there talking about what the Nigerian government is doing to him, how DOS is cashing out on him. DOS office, anyways, is the office of people, office, that has people, not even a people, anyways, but the office that have a particular people. He talks about how they are doing this, how they are doing that, how they don't want to do this, and how they don't want to, and he gives ultimatum. If you don't go and release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, if you don't release him, I'm going to do this. You have a father, your father is in hospital. You are giving ultimatum to those who gave him bad food or gave him food poisoning. And then they don't do it, and you still sit down, and then you now come to the family, and you now tell the family, today we're going to share the property of this family. Now that shows that you want your father dead so that you can be in charge. Because no right Igbo man will want his father dead so that he can take property. No right Igbo man will be talking about sharing inheritance and giving himself position and apportioning position in the family when the father is dead, when it is the right of the father to do. Now, just imagine this in this broader spectrum of Biafra. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in jail. Simon comes out, tells you that he is disciple, and then comes later, move it to the position of a dragon. The dragon Madison and the kind of lifted. And then after the dragon, he now tells you that he is now the interim leader. Oh my God, he tested you, and you all say, wow, great, great. And he used what he used in testing you is that he went to create a name, a particular peace forum that does not exist in Denmark, and said that they have given him title of a peace award and title or a peace award, and that peace award is out of the concept of the concept of the fact that he is the interim leader. And then when he when he saw that you didn't question him, he now suddenly calls himself prime minister, meaning that he is not expecting Mazin Nnamdi Kanu to leave. He has already concluded that this man is going to die, just like a man or you have your father in hospital. Rather than going to treat your father, you start criticizing those who have poisoned him, giving him food poisoning and all of that, who have poisoned him with food or something, or whatever they have done to him, or they have injured him, they shot him or something. You sat down there, you have opportunity to take a lawyer to Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. You don't do that. You didn't do that. You didn't talk about that. You claim to be a lawyer, but you cannot engage lawyers to go and talk for Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, and to let's, at least for the legal side, let's say that something happens in that regard. You didn't do all of that. You kept now dividing the family property amongst yourselves. You now take the family property and made it yours. You now claim to exude. You now took and you now give yourself the position. And you now begin to give titles. And the man is still alive. Oh Lord, what an abomination. Lord have mercy. What an abomination. Now listen to Mazin Nnamdi Kanu's voice here. I'm going to play it again for those people who don't know the voice of their father. Listen. Just listen. Just listen.
What mistake Buhari ever made was to arrest him. I will get the freedom. What is going to happen? I'm taking IPOB to Abuja on the 17th of next month to United States. We are with you, sir. We are with you. There will be 2 million people in Abuja. I will be there. I will be there. I will be there with you. I will be there. We take a battle to our enemies. Yes, sir. And let me make this very clear to you. You are under oath. Yes. And by virtue of that oath, you are under direct orders from me. Yes. Any day you wake up, you hear I've been arrested on Nigeria time. Yes, sir.
I don't know whether to shed tears or what. This is a father. You said you are a spiritual son. He says, any day you don't find me, you hear that I have been arrested, burned down the zoo. That means your father, who is in hospital now, says, any day you hear that these my brothers have poisoned me, or have done something to me, or have harmed me, this is what you have to do. Make sure that you come after them, deal with them, and free me. That's what Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is saying here. Any day you hear that I have been arrested, burned down the zoo, that means you must rescue me. And to rescue me, you have to destroy that place. You have to come all out. That's what Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is saying here. And yet, a spiritual son goes to give himself, now begin to marry, begin to claim to buy houses, begin to give himself title, begin to pop champagne. His subordinates, his other colleagues, his rogue team begin to press breast, begin to dance and publish music, call musicians who are hungry and who are looking for money tips here to stake IPOB money, to give them money, and they do music for them. Very insincere people who, if I am the one, as a musician, I'm a musician. If you call me to do music for you, Simon calls me and says he wants to pay me $1 million to do music for him because I'm a producer. I've been producing since the year 2000. I've been in music production. I'm not talking about when I started being a music director. Music production. So If you talk about music producing, I am very professional in it. If he calls me now and says I should make music, call his name in that music for $1 million, I would reject that offer. Of course, I was told that I was given an offer. They said they can even put my face on the Biafra coin. I said, no, I don't need that. Nobody's face can be there. It is wrong. I stood my ground. Rather than, who else will not jump at it? Oh, let them put my face in Biafra currency so that my face will be everywhere in the world. Nonsense. My father said that once I hear that his brothers or some people have done this thing to him, that anytime they do this thing to him, that they have been threatening to kill him, that anytime they do this thing to him, I should make sure I deal with them and come to rescue him. Now, all I do after my dad is there, rather than doing that, I go to share my father's property. My God, is it that we don't reason? And somebody is here defending Simon. Somebody, what is your involvement? Is this that you are an accomplice? You are evil. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in jail. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in jail for almost 2 years. He said, once they arrest me, come destroy that zoo. You had the opportunity to destroy the zoo. You had the opportunity to arm ESN, bring them together, arm them, and make sure there is no election as a means of destroying the zoo. You had the opportunity. All you did was divert the funds, give your little militia arms to secure your interest, kept all other men that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu erected hungry. Illegal many messages coming out of the dungeon saying that he is this, he's bleeding, he is this, he's been poisoned, all you do once that message come out, you come and threaten, and you go back planning your own selfish program. Thank you so much, Ego. I'll keep saying the truth. So you mean that you are so much, the most important thing for you now is a title of a prime minister when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is ill? Azuka, the title of Secretary of Defense and Finance Assistant or Deputy Finance Officer when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in jail? And all these idiots, including the Nigerian Ngozi. You mean you guys? Oh my God. I'm so pained in my heart. I don't know me. Yeah, somebody says you have been supporting Simon because I thought he had the target was that election would be the point. I don't know. Please, can somebody else confirm that it's that we know? Because View Media says I should. So I want to be sure. I refresh now, all the messages will go off them again. So that's why I'm very dragging my feet when it comes to refreshing. Oh, please. Let me know. Oh my God, it's a painful thing. It's a very painful. I don't know whether to cry or to get angry or to just see how I can mobilize. I don't know what to do. Whether I should mobilize by myself. All right, thank you, Edith and do that sound. I don't know whether I don't know, but we need to come together. That is why we are calling upon everyone. We want to lend our voices. That is why the accountability group is very, very important at this time. I can't imagine that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in a place for 2 years. Now, I was talking to that Chinwe or some who was talking about I supported Simon all this while. Yes, and we all supported him very well. We promoted him very well. You know why? He made us believe that he understands what is happening with the accounts. And we trusted him in that, even if it was wrong, because you don't work in trust. What you talk about when it comes to a nationhood or organization, trust means that you have to be accountable. That means you must show proof of your trust by, showing, making everything open and plain for the people to see. But because the people in the media team, because of they don't understand what it means to be under a professional system or a formal system, they kept saying that since Simon knows about it, let's allow him, and we allowed him. Now we worked on that trust, and when he gave that 150 days, I was one of those promoting 150 days because my mindset is that Simon knows what he is doing. I can't believe, even if sometimes I've talked with people and I raise my doubts, I said, but I will tell them, I said, but I don't want to believe that Simon will count 150 days. And yet, even when I was hearing the complaints from the guys, the men on ground, they are hungry. I said, well, maybe Simon has a group of people he's investing in, a militia somewhere in one nation or something, or some group of people, just like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu surprised us with ESN. I was thinking that was the issue. I said, so sometimes we talk in our group, the ETTG, we talk about it. We say, well, maybe the guy has some plans somewhere. Let's just keep supporting him until the 150 days elapsed. That was how we now understood that 150 days was a scam. And then after the 150 days, we now saw it as needful to this. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu cannot be there. People will be cashing out on him. Simon and Co want to sustain. If Simon, you can't tell me that Simon believes that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will come out and he gives himself a title. It's not possible. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was in this thing for years. He never even talked about title. In fact, when you call him the leader, he said, don't call me the leader, just call me director of Radio Biafra. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu says, call me director of Radio Biafra. Just call me director, don't call me the owner. Don't call me owner of Radio Biafra. Don't call me anything. Don't call me the leader. Call me director of Radio Biafra, because we have many directors. Simon has the guts. Lord have mercy. And some people are jubilating, happy, supporting, promoting. Thank you so much, Canon Media. We must implement the standing order. We must implement that standing order. Before Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I'll play it one more time. He said, you are under oath. Simon said he took oath with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He said Mazi Nnamdi Kanu administered oath through the phone and somebody was there. The secretary was there or somebody. Now Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, you are under oath, meaning that everyone who believes in what he is doing, whether you took a substantial oath or whether you took a physical oath or whether you took oath by believing, you are under oath and you must do by my orders. I'll play it again. Anytime you don't see me, you wake up and you don't see me. He didn't say don't see me in this one. He said anytime you wake up and you hear that I've been arrested, burn down Nigeria. Please listen to it again. I want you to listen to this thing very well because it's very good for us to be playing it over and over. The worst mistake Buhari ever made was to arrest me. The same Buhari has not only arrested him, tortured him, that is the masked one now, tortured him and put him in dungeon because of some of our people. Now listen. I will break the zoo into pieces. Now, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu says he's going to break the zoo into pieces, do you think he was talking about himself going to break the zoo? He's depending on you and I. This is where we know the level of our involvement in this whole thing, because we are part of the oath taken. First, by believing that he was sent by Elohim, we have already taken an oath. Anytime you believe in a thing, you are already sold out in your soul to it. That is an oath. That's why the Bible says, John chapter 3, verse 16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him, that becomes the oath. That becomes the connection point. Believing in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. As soon as you take that oath of believing in him, you now will not perish. The result and the benefit is that you are going to have eternal life. Now he said here, he said here that I will burn the zoo. He was talking to you and I. He was not talking to himself. Yes, I'll play it, Uzo. Thank you. Uzo, why? I'll keep playing it every day because our people are so wicked, they forget easily. So that it will prompt everybody now to begin to wake up. The center of reasoning now should be Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, not any position, not any title, not anybody, not even any. Look at Ambazonia. The guy is fighting. His leader is in jail. He knows that he cannot take any title. He didn't give himself any title. He is fighting. He controls some territory in Ambazonia right now. Did you hear him give himself any title? Did you hear him call any government in exile and constitute anything and then tell himself this? There's nothing wrong in having a government in exile because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu approved it. But that government in exile should be of service and not of looting and stealing. And not creating a Biafra government in exile against the one Mazi Nnamdi Kanu already knows. I'm going to show you pictures of that one. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said he will burn the zoo. Does it mean that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu himself will just walk to the zoo and start burning it? No, he was thinking of you and I. That means we are going to do it together. Now listen.
I am taking IPOB to Abuja on the 17th of next month for my court case. We are with you, sir.
I am taking up IPOB to Abuja on the 17th of next month for my court case. Now, I am taking IPOB to Abuja on the 17th of next month for my court case. Now, IPOB means that he is going with the people. That means this has to do with everybody. You have to understand the level of your involvement in this whole thing. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu cannot stand on his own. He needs you. When he gets into trouble, he needs you. When he's going to Abuja for the court case, he needs you. He needs you and I. So he says here that he's going to Abuja on the 17th. He's going with IPOB. That means he needs everyone, the people. The level of involvement is that you are part of this. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu approved which government in exile? You don't. That means you are not a Collins. You are not a follower of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu when he talked about the Biafra government in exile. You are not a follower. You are not a follower. So I go and make your research on that. Now listen.
We are with you. There will be 2 million people in Abuja.
There will be 2 million people in Abuja. Who are those 2 million people? You and I. So those who go there physically and those who are in the house and supporting him there are the 2 million people in Abuja. Let's go on.
I will be there. I will be there. I will be there with you. I will be there. We take the battle to our enemies. Yes, sir.
We take the battle to our enemies. We take the battle to our enemies. Do you know what that means? That means the act of freeing ourselves is in our hands to initiate and to carry out, to execute. The act of freeing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu at every point in time is also in our hands to execute. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being there in the hands of the enemy, the battle has to be taken to them. However it will be taken, it's left for us to plan it. Because anything we do must be against the people, against the people, the enemies. That's the enemies now. Not against the people. Not against the people. So watch this.
And let me make this very clear to you. You are under oath. Yes.
Now listen, did you get that? You are under oath. What does that mean? It doesn't always mean a physical administration of an oath where you go to swear somewhere or something. It means, just like I quoted John chapter 3 verse 16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. That he gave, that whosoever believes, that means at the point of believing, you are already under oath with that covenant of believing. Master Namdekan said, you are under oath. Now listen to him, what he says, because of that oath, what you should do.
By virtue of that oath, you are under direct order from me.
Yeah. Now listen, by virtue of that oath, you are under direct order from me. By virtue of that oath, you are under direct order from me. I'll say that one more time. By virtue of that oath, you are under direct order from me. Direct order from me as the one sent, as the one who has been able to initiate all of these through God, who has sent me to talk to you, to be part of this. The order coming from me, that anything that I have said right now comes from Elohim, and so you must execute it by the order based on the fact that you are under oath.
Any day you wake up, you hear I've been arrested, burn Nigeria down.
Any day you wake up and you hear I have been arrested, burn Nigeria down. Collins, don't come here. Don't send me such kinds of message. If you want to know what Mazi Namdekan said, go and search his messages. I'm not here to romance you guys. You these guys whose brain is in your anus. I don't understand. I'm speaking something that has to do with Mazi Namdekan. You come. All your concern is about government in exile. If you don't know when Mazi Namdekan mentioned government in exile, go and make your research. Don't come here to ask me questions. I'm here for serious business. This is Biafra freedom. This is freedom fighting. We're not here for my family meeting. Don't come here to argue unnecessary. Family meeting is where people go to argue unnecessary things. This is freedom. We point out the facts to you. Anybody you see dancing around the facts, you tell them that they should give accounts. They tell you, are you a Biafran? Can you imagine how they reason? You tell them that Mazi Namdekan himself mentioned Biafra in exile, and he's coming to ask me here. Anyways, that's distraction. So let's go on. Any day you wake up and hear that I have been arrested, burn down. You first said that you are under oath and you take orders from me. Now, just let's go back to the narrative I gave you. I have just about 5 minutes to finish this, 4 minutes to finish this broadcast, or 5 minutes. You have a father, you have your brothers, you have your mother. Your father is in the house. One of your brothers attack your father, or your father's brothers, not one of your brothers now. Your father's brothers or your father's friends attacked your father, and they beat your father to the point that he is now laying unconscious in the hospital. And now he has told you that these people have been threatening him. Any day they do this to him, arrest them, jail them, make sure that you pay them back when they attack me. After giving you that order, based on the fact that he is your father, as Simon claims that Mazi Namdekan is his father and he is the first son, he says, when this happens to me, this is what you should do to them. You said, yes, sir, I will do that. Now they execute their threat on your father. Your father is in hospital, lying down unconsciously. Instead of you to execute the threat, all you do is you come out, you brag, you tell the people, you have done this to my father. Go and treat him. You have done this to my father. Go and do this. I give you two days. I give you 3 days. I give you 1 day. I give you so number of days. My father must be treated. My father must be fed. You must feed my father. You are not treating him. Now they say that he's bleeding. You must go and treat him. If you don't release him, if you don't treat him,